Hi guys, this is my assignment 5, and I have to kind of do a review of my assignment 4 that I created, my unit plan. My unit plan essentially was I used the ADDIE model in this because I was kind of looking at my goals and my objectives. And my objectives for this were I needed my students to be able to identify specific attributes of a given geometric figure, and they needed to be able to create them. Essentially what I did is I started with some prior knowledge, then I had things like this where I used my smartboard and kids would get up and they would learn their points, and they'd do some karate here and there. This is kind of some of the kinesthetic learning. And then what they ended up doing is they ended up creating, this is one of my students, I had to get rid of their name, but they had to be able to create, and then you can see how I graded it, but I'll come back to that here in a minute. Did it yield appropriate evidence to the identified understandings? I would say yeah, it did, because the students, what they had to do is they had to be able to create polygons with given attributes, and the majority of them were able to do that, and they were able to identify just like specific points, lines, planes, and things like that. They were able to do that with my formative assessments. Do the tasks involve complex real-world applications of the identified skills and understandings? I'd kind of say yes and no to this one, because what they had to do is they had to be able to use this and this website kind of at the same time, where they had to create certain figures and then create snapshots and then be able to, or screenshots, and then be able to put those screenshots into a Google slideshow that I had created most of it for them. They just kind of had to take the snapshots and put them in. But they, so I would say yes in that sense, but I probably could have used more real pictures, and they could identify, where's a vertice here or a line segment there in this picture that may have been more beneficial to the real world. Are there a variety of appropriate assessment formats used to provide additional evidence of learning? I had a whole bunch of assessments that we ended up doing. The first one was just very informal. They had the choice of either this or a whiteboard, and they could be, and I would, after going over this, I could say, okay, I need you to draw me a line. So they could either draw a line on here, or they would draw a line on their whiteboard, and then they had to label it too. And I'd be able to give them a check minus, a check, or a check plus, and it was just kind of based on, check plus would mean that they got it correct completely. Check maybe just some sort of issue here and there, and check minus was they could not remember what to do, so I kind of graded them based on that. Then there was the slideshow presentation, which was this. And then there was the Ed puzzle, which is where they watch a video and answer questions as they go. And that I had a whole bunch of these different types of assessments, and I could use this data to kind of see at the end of well, it ended up being 2.5 days or 3 days, but at the end of that, where those students kind of fit in. And then are students given the appropriate time to like self-assess or reflect upon their learning? As I reflect on this, I would have to say, I'm kind of stretching here, but like the Ed puzzle, my Ed puzzle here, this was my assessment on the Ed puzzle. It would give them the score, so the students would be able to assess themselves, say, okay, how did I do? Did I do well? Did I not? And then they could reflect on that. Otherwise, I'd have to say probably not. I did give them this, and I'd be able to give them feedback. Like you can see here, I just kind of, it's really fast, you have a line segment this when it should be that, and then I had this red arrow that I copy paste and just put in here and kind of point to where they need to be. Here was another one that they had made a mistake on, so I kind of make little notes here and there when I give it back to them. But are they able to really reflect on it? They may look at it and go, oh, okay, but then I think what I'm going to end up doing is making them change, so if I come down to here, they've got their slideshow presentation, and evaluate. So, I thought it was pretty good, and then I'm looking at the questions for Unit 5, or I'm sorry, Assessment 5, and I could probably say that I would have them do more reflections, especially on this. I could have them looking at it saying, this is what I did correctly, this is what I did incorrectly, this is what I can do to change it. So that's kind of where I was going with that. I would change just a few things here and there. Other than that, though, I thought it was a pretty good unit, and my coworkers who did the exact same one, they liked it too. We would just maybe span it over 3 days rather than 2 days. Thanks.